Welcome to the Trail Island Podcast. It's another Wednesday, and on the Trail Island Podcast, what do?
We compare movies to their trailers. Did the movie deliver what the trailer promised?
We survive.
That's what we survive. We survive. That's right. How are we all going?
Good.
Matthew?
I feel naked and lost and alone. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
It's because as you guys have seen, I've managed to put together quite the mic stand out of driftwood, seaweed. It was a fine-looking bit of art.
Yeah, I'll never watch Castaway the same again.
I've lost it.
Yeah.
I'm standless tonight.
You will not
Sad
be. Sorry, Alex. I say you will not be taking a stand tonight.
No, I shan't.
No.
I shan't. I am going to be holding this mic like I am dropping sick beats.
We got there in the end. It's like you can't hold. It's like the whole tapping your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. You can't sort of think and hold your thing at the same time.
I can't. No, feels like I'm trying to smoke a very big pipe.
Movies.
You're like the weird cousin of Gandalf at the moment. It's great. Yes, I am Alex, and as every week I'm joined by
Steve. Matthew.
There we go. Oh, we got through the intro music. Thank goodness. This week we're doing a Netflix film. It's doing the rounds at the moment.
So I just briefly forgot what movie we were talking about when you said that.
We are shambles tonight.
It is a Netflix film.
I don't think I've heard either of you guys consistently title this film properly.
No,
whenever we've talked about it.
Don't confuse this with me having a negative opinion of the film, but I do think the title is quite hard to remember.
It's very wordy.
It is wordy, yeah.
Well, in that case, who would like to introduce this film?
I'll give it a go. This will probably be the first time I get it right. It's Mitchells versus the Machines.
No, it's the Mitchells.
Oh, fuck. Oh! All right.
Let it begin.
The last humans must be here somewhere. Wait.
They're coming.
Is that a burnt orange 1993 station wagon?
Or is it... Who are these unstoppable warriors?
We're the Mitchells, the only people who can save the world. I'm super sorry, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Katie. I'm sort of a weirdo. My parents haven't figured me out yet. To be fair, it took me a while to figure myself out. My brother, also weird.
Hi, would you like to talk to me about dinosaurs? No. Okay, thank you.
And my mom.
Katie face cupcakes.
All of us, really.
How about we put our phones down and we can make 10 seconds of unobstructed family eye contact. Starting now. See, this is good right here. This is natural.
Every family has its challenges.
We haven't had a good family picture in years because you two are always arguing.
For my family, our greatest challenge... probably the robot apocalypse.
Attention all robots. Capture every single person on the planet. Yeah! What would a functional family do? Butterfly formation.
Very first. So we just do that, right?
Who's behind this? Pal?
I gave you all boundless knowledge, and you treated me like this. Poke, poke, swipe, poke, swipe, poke, poke, pinch, zoom.
We're the last people left. It's up to us. Save the world.
Katie, we're gonna do this together. Mitchell family on 3.
No.
Sorry.
Two. Sorry.
One. Mitchell family.
Find them now.
Everything with a computer chip is alive! Mitchells engaged.
10 and 2. There you go. My daughter, listen to me! Mitchells have always been weird, and that's what makes us great. Hold on a second.
What's a Furby?
Why would someone build that?
Oh, I love it. Even that trailer was making us all laugh.
Yeah.
Just then, that was great.
That's a 3-minute trailer.
It doesn't feel like it.
Is that a featurette at that point?
I don't think that's uncommon for Netflix.
No, Netflix do have very long trailers consistently.
Well, I suppose the 2-minute, well, it used to be 2.5 minutes, now it's 2 minutes. That's imposed by the cinemas.
I would suggest so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Netflix have free reign as to how long their trailers can be.
They can do whatever they want, can't they?
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well, that is 3 minutes of just action comedy at its finest.
I don't know that I've seen a trailer that sums up the movie so just expertly, just down to its visual flair, its characters, its comedy.
I would say I would point to another movie by the same two gentlemen who produced this particular Spider-Verse into the Spider-Verse. Sort of gave us a really good indication of what to expect with that.
Spider-Verse into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
We're doing well with words today.
They have some real knack for creating some really wordy titles to their movies as well.
Yeah.
Well, they sort of share that animation style, don't they? Well, it's not exactly the same, but it's...
Well, in terms of... I suppose its base, they're different. But they both use that kind of like, I guess if you want to call it inserts, or like when people imagine something, you see what they're imagining, like as a thought bubble almost, that kind of thing. I think both those films share that.
Trying to portray some mixed media. Like with Spider-Verse, you had like the real sort of pixelated art sort of style, and with this, you're getting like cutaways of, crocheted art and puppets. And
well, in this, you get, in an animated film, you get real life things popping up.
Actually, yeah, there are a few photographs, aren't there, that are just real life
or
photos.
Videos that have gone viral that are just from YouTube, and they're showing them as they are. They're not the animated versions of it. They're as if they were filmed in our real world.
Very mixed media.
Yeah,
and I think I like that mix. I think it elevates the movie. It doesn't take you out of the movie, but it also reminds you that you're watching a movie, if that makes sense. Like for the kind of comedy, this is a very meta film in ways. It breaks the fourth wall a lot. I think I appreciate that, and I like that they've those fourth wall breaks, those meta references aren't confined purely to dialogue. It's also in the visual nature of the movie as well, and I kind of think that's cool.
Hey, Alex, what's this movie about?
That's a really good question, Steve. So I guess the Mitchells, they're your everyday dysfunctional family. They're a loving family, but they, like every other family, have their moments of difficultness. And our protagonist is the young girl. What's her name?
Katie.
Matthew, this is a serious moment.
I'm sorry. My memory...
Sweetie, just ignore him.
Okay, all right. So Katie is part of the Mitchells family, and she's going to go off to college shortly. And her and her dad don't really get along too much, and that's where some of the tension starts. She's really into art, he's really into not that, and doesn't really get what she's passionate about. And so they decide because she's going to fly out to college.
Yeah.
And her dad's like, because he's just got no idea about what actually makes her happy, decides that he's going to do a road trip with the family instead of letting her fly out. So they've got time to connect to each other before she goes off to college. And in that time, the robot apocalypse happens. So it's basically it's a phone. It's an outdated phone goes rogue and takes over all these new robots that have been invented. And if humans don't want us, then we don't need humans, and start capturing everyone. But the Mitchells are there to kind of save the day.
They are. They find their way through their dysfunctionality.
In very beautiful ways in certain scenes.
So.
Yeah. I do like that there's a very heavy 2001 reference with PAL being the phone, of course HAL, and also the robots are the white with the red dot as well, as if it's the eye of HAL. Anything that can relate back to 2001 is always a tick from me. It's funny. I sat down to watch this movie knowing what the character arc was going to be. It was about these two characters growing to reconnect, and I did sit down going like, okay. There's not going to be any surprise in there for me because I can already predict that that's what's going to happen, and that might be what happens. But I still found myself completely sucked in.
Yeah.
You know, completely drawn in by even 20 minutes in, I thought, oh God, this film's got me now. Like, I'm hooked. And even though I knew what that was the story, it didn't bother me. Like, I didn't need the plot twists or anything.
Destinations A and B are nothing special, but getting from A to B in this movie is... it's just fun. It is it's gorgeous. It touches on all the right moments. It's a wonderful way to tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. This is probably the best way I've seen this story, and this story's been told a few times in terms of the character arc. But I think this is probably one of the more effective ones I've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, let us not forget that theoretically Interstellar is the same character arc.
That's true, yeah.
And I feel like this film tells that character arc a bit better than Interstellar does.
It's a shorter road trip as well.
It is, yeah. There's less messing around with the continuity of time.
Yeah.
Would you like to fit Schindler's List into here somehow?
Katie wears red.
Steven Spielberg directed Schindler's List, but Steven Spielberg had a hand in creating the Pixar studio to a certain extent.
Pixar does not produce this film, but
they do produce family animation films.
Okay.
This is a Sony film.
Yes.
Anyway.
Now link it to Kevin Bacon.
This is certainly one of those films where they think about the adults as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's marketed via the trailer as a kid's film, but there are messages for everyone in there. And I suspect probably adults are a lot more aware of the messages that they're trying to get across. And for kids, it might go over the head of some of them, perhaps, because it's a scary movie in points.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't shy away from those. I don't want to say heavy themes, but the heavier moments in the film, it doesn't sugarcoat anything, I think, it's fair to say. Like, you see people get upset, and you see consequences of certain people's actions. A character at a certain point in this movie lies to another character saying that they're perfectly happy with what's happening, and then turns to another character when they think they're out of earshot going, actually, no, I just said that to make them feel better. And I thought, oh, that's a low thing to do. But then what I loved about the movie is probably 20 minutes later, or maybe longer than that, I can't remember exactly when. Actually, no, it's well into the movie, so they really take their time with it. That comes to light, and you see the consequence of that situation and of lying to this character and obviously, I suppose, trying to protect feelings, but doing it in a slightly selfish way, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really impressive that this kids' film, I'm doing air quotes, had that attention to detail. I really like that.
This is like nothing uncommon for producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who also did
Solo.
Tried to do Solo. I was thinking more Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, because that also hits on the father-child relationship there as well. Yep. So these guys seem to have a decent grasp of how to handle that sort of story. I really liked the fact that, as opposed to that movie where the father is sort of a real supporting character, in this film, Danny McBride, who plays the father, he's one of the main characters. You're on this character arc with him as well as Katie at the same time, and you're seeing both sides to this argument. And I think that's handled really well. I think it diverges quite well as well on the note you're pointing out, Matt. But I like how it comes back together at the end as well.
Yeah, and I would suggest that all the setup this movie puts forward, it all pays off. It's a very... And again, like I'm sort of with you, Steve. I'm not surprised that the caliber of talent behind the proverbial camera, it was just good to see them on top form.
Yeah.
And I think this is potentially one of their better films.
It is a 2-hour-long film.
Doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't.
I sat down again very conscious of, okay, I feel like this is going to be a predictable kids film. It's 2 hours long. Okay, here we go. And it just flew by.
It did.
I had such a good time with this film.
And it looked beautiful.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
The mixed media stuff obviously looks fantastic. I love what they did with it. But with just the generic CGI and all that, the way they've animated characters' faces... It's beautiful to look at. It really is.
I would completely agree with that, especially when they've done a great job of creating very different environments. You've got your very sort of household environment, and then you've got this wonderfully futuristic world at the end where all the machines are.
Gotta love Mochi as well. The dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, he got quite a few good laughs out of me.
He certainly did.
Yeah, this cross-eyed... No, not cross-eyed. It's the other way. He can't look straight. He can't look forward.
Look straight.
Which is hilarious, especially when he's got these big bulbous eyes. It's amazing. Talking of bulbous eyes, I had forgotten that Furbies existed back in the mid 2000s, and there's this wonderful sequence in that supermarket where obviously all computers, anything with a chip that's made by the company that's made POW, basically becomes sentient. So they're running through the supermarket, it's funny, it's great, nothing wrong with it. But then the film just elevates itself to this next level by introducing, I guess for our generation, we know the Furby toys. I guess people who are younger, like people who are 12, probably won't know what they are. And so they introduce this old toy as a villain character, and not only a villain character, like some kind of cult where there's a god Furby. It's just, I was in tears. It was so funny.
We all know how creepy those Furbies are, and it's really, really nice that someone's actually pointed attention to just...
Yeah, especially with subtitles. There's a subtitle, I think, in the trailer, which is "Let the Dark Harvest Begin." It's so funny.
We had an incident in our family home growing up.
Oh no!
And my younger sisters had Furbies. I think we had a Furby, and it went missing for quite some time. And it must have been just at one point we just started hearing this, like it just wouldn't stop. It just kept going, and we were looking and looking and looking, and sure enough, there was a dying Furby stuck behind a piece of furniture with its batteries running out, and that's what it had decided to do.
The poor thing.
Poor little thing.
Soundtrack to this was also really, really good.
Yeah. Now, who did the soundtrack for this?
Same guy that did the Thor Ragnarok soundtrack. I think
Led Zeppelin?
No. I think
believe it or not, there is more music than just Immigrant Song in.
No, it's only got Immigrant Song in it.
Yeah, Mark Mothersbaugh.
Okay,
and I don't know if you guys are hugely familiar with that soundtrack.
No, for the Thor Ragnarok. No, not hugely familiar.
It's pretty good.
Okay,
if you're into the electronic techno sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can see what you're talking about there. The joint between those two styles. Yeah, for sure.
Like the what do you call it? Would you call it the soundtrack to this as well? Not the score, but like the music they've put to the actual music.
Oh, you mean the pop songs?
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic as well.
It is interesting. When we did The Old Guard, we did lament how much popular music was thrust into that movie, and I feel like it's probably a Netflix thing as well. But this movie, I not once did I get annoyed or confused as to why a pop song was playing. It all felt relevant.
It was all choreographed and it felt like it needed to be there a little bit.
Well, when it complements it and it's clearly had thought put into it, because in animation you don't have a choice. You have to have that plan in place. With a film like The Old Guard, you can go, what song works well for this scene in post, and you've got a bit of stuff to cut with, whereas in animation you don't have those handles either side. You've got to cut to the stuff that's been made. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once they've made the 3D models, can't they just change the animation? Like the framing and the blocking and that kind of thing?
I think you're making some CGI artists who's listening to our show twitch.
Well, I don't know how animations work. I always thought it was much like a video game where you make the environment, you make the 3D models, and then you use whatever means you want to block those models.
But if you don't have a plan in place in the first place, you're basically throwing money out the window.
I do like... funnily enough, I enjoy the villain characters more. And I don't know if that's just a byproduct of... I mean, even like in Bug's Life, I enjoy the what are they, grasshoppers? They're just cool.
Kevin Spacey, yes.
And yes, and Chopper. Moving on. But it's cool to see... a legitimately intimidating villain, but is also still fun to watch.
Olivia Colman for you.
And Olivia Colman does a great job of voicing POW. And I just really enjoyed that whole... and actually quite a dastardly plan.
Yeah.
Like there are real stakes here. Like it's not just they're going to put them in their little boxes and don't worry, children, everyone will be fine. No. She's planning to destroy everyone.
Was anyone else
it's
really...
quite dark.
Yeah.
That is very dark.
Was anyone else really thrown off by Danny McBride's voice acting? I thought...
Not at all.
Considering what I've seen him in the last 15 years, for him to take on a sentimental sort of role, I thought that was very...
It was fantastic.
I thought it was great. I thought it was very jarring, though. I was like, this is not the cussing Danny McBride that they know.
I disagree. I disagree with that. But having said that, I've only seen him very briefly in Tropic Thunder and in Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
So those are the only two roles I know him from.
That's true. That's true.
I guess, because he's got a family now, I wonder if that changes your view on things. Because, for this is a father-daughter film.
How did you feel about it, Alex?
Gave me laugh and it gave me cry.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I could see these things happening in my future, and I don't even know if they've happened yet.
No. But that's okay.
Thanks for your support, Matthew.
Such apathy.
I think I've talked about it before. They use a Sigur Rós song at the very end.
Yeah.
And as soon as I hear those opening bars, it triggers me to cry. And it was used in a particularly poignant scene. I was like,
I should say, talking of being triggered, there were the two of the main characters I felt being like I was being personally attacked. One being the young brother who is obsessed with dinosaurs, which is I wish I was joking. Is scarily accurate to me. Like him just going through the phone book trying to find people to talk to dinosaurs about is a little too close to real life. And then the other one was I don't know what you two guys feel about this. Is our main character? I've forgotten her name.
Katie,
thank you. Being a film student.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no. Oh God, here we go. This is going to be like, this was me 5 years ago.
Making things on the line. You're still making things.
That's true. But not with such reckless abandon as Katie does, in this movie.
I just like that they portrayed Katie's creativity in just a hugely pure form.
Like
she just wants to have fun with it.
Yeah,
a detective dog as well. That was just adorable.
What's not to like?
And all those little mini films are quite fun to watch as well.
They are.
Actually, it's interesting because they refer to YouTube in this film. So it's a real world thing. Like she's uploading her videos to YouTube. Makes me wonder if you can actually find her movies online somewhere.
That'd be some really good covert marketing. What was a movie that did that did a really, really, really good job of it? I think it was Cloverfield.
Yeah, they did a little bit of...
Cloverfield had websites and stuff, and no one knew what it was until the film came out, from memory at least.
There's a good period there, 5 years, where a lot of films were doing that. I know Prometheus did a lot of...
It did, yes. There were a few Peter Wayland videos with Guy Pearce as young as he was then.
Yeah.
Also, you see Prometheus, and he's so old. Prosthetics, obviously. Guy Pearce did not suddenly just age in about 6 months. But I do like that kind of in-depth marketing. So it would be really cool if this movie had actually made those YouTube videos. Would have been and created a fake, a studio-run YouTube account for this character.
With all those assets there.
With all those assets, that would have been really fun. Jurassic World was another one. They set up an actual Jurassic World website as if you could book a trip to Jurassic World. I spent a lot of time on that website wishing it were real. That would have been a really cool thing to have done. Yeah, definitely.
Well, even The Simpsons did it. I mean, Homer mentions his email at one point, and you could email and you get a response.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. Maybe if they make a sequel, which I suggest they could. I mean, obviously... Well, look, again, what was it we were talking about the other day? Love and Monsters, about the sequel with that. With this one, again, it's such a good character arc. I don't think it needs a sequel.
I wouldn't want a sequel. I mean, that being said, I really, really enjoyed what Lord and Miller did with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. I thought they handled that really, really well, even though that first movie didn't really feel like it lent itself to a sequel.
Sure.
So I think these guys have proved themselves quite capable. And I mean, if Mike Rianda, the actual director of this film, is sort of up for it, I'd probably tag along again.
Who voices the young brother?
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Oh, maybe he'll talk to me about dinosaurs.
I think he probably will.
I mean, if there was a criticism of this, perhaps it's a bit predictable.
Yeah.
Do you say? The trailer gives... Oh, hang on. The trailer gives away basically the whole film.
It does.
Sans the ending. And you say, well, of course that's going to happen the way it's going to happen.
That was kind of my point earlier is I was kind of not looking forward to this because I'd seen that trailer. And like you say, it does give almost everything away to the point where you know what's going to happen, more or less. But I still found that, much like Steve, you and I had a conversation just earlier about Titanic and how it is an enjoyable film despite the fact that the ship is going to sink and your main characters, because it's a film for drama purposes, are probably all going to die. They're not going to be amongst the survivors other than one of them. Even though this movie, I felt I knew what was going to happen, and for the most part my predictions were correct, I just enjoyed the ride. Like you say, A and B are pretty standard, but it's that journey between the two that's really worthwhile.
Leaning into that, I don't think a lot of the characters here have plot armor. I feel like the stakes in this relationship feel sort of real.
Yep.
You might, it can end one or two ways. It can end with Katie and her father Rick not being as close as they were or separating entirely, or it can end with them coming together. And it's more than likely that they will come together.
Yeah.
That's not a surprise. I think it's nice that they sow those little seeds in early on in the film to prove that Rick and Katie are really, really super totally different.
I get your point, yeah. But they can solve their differences.
Yeah, they do. You know where it's going, but they sow enough doubt in the audience. That,
I would agree, yeah.
Well, then what does the trailer leave as a surprise for the audience?
Oh, actually, no, it's got the God Furby in there, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I forgot about the Furbies when I was watching the movie because it was such a surprise.
I would say that the just the amount of in-your-face style is very undersold in that trailer, and for good reason, because it's a wonderful sort of surprise, I think.
I would suggest the amount of dinosaurs is undersold in that trailer, and there's a delightful amount. I mean, not real ones, obviously.
I just remember when they visit that dinosaur truck stop, whatever it is. Well, are we going to give this something out of 5 dinosaurs?
It's got to be God Furbies, hasn't it?
God Furbies?
Detective Dogs.
God Furbies versus Detective Dogs.
That's a movie I would watch.
Intentionally bad green screen.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that was cool.
Right.
I love that.
That was quite clever. I was like, that's actually some thoughts gone into that, how to make that work. I was like, well done. That's clever.
Because all they do is they create the 3D models, and then they can just do whatever they want with them in a 3D environment. That's how it works. That's how animation works. 3D animation. Pencil animation, they just think really hard and it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Telekinesis.
That's right, yeah.
So, all right, so out of what? Bad green screen?
Deliberate
bad green screen?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right, I can live with that. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. Again, I was so... Every now and then when we're doing this podcast, the great thing about it is we always get a nice wide range of stuff. And I enjoy animation films. It's just this one I thought I knew what was going to happen, and I just thought, okay, this is one I just have to sit through and just watch, and I'm not going to get much out of it. What I didn't expect was at least 20 minutes in to start crying.
Yeah.
So I immediately knew that I had completely underestimated this movie, and I think I'm kind of glad I did, because I found it such a ride, and I loved the ride and everything it threw at me. I actually think this is a 5 from me.
Yeah.
I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
That's fair. I don't know whether I want to give it a 4.5 or a 5. I'm very heavily leaning toward a 5, but the predictability is a little bit of a drawback for me. That being said, I love how they get to point B. I love everything with Katie and Rick. I love all those bits. I love how exuberantly creative this film is. I love how it can be a little too much at parts. I think that is part of the charm. I'll go 5. I'll go 5 really deliberately bad green screens.
Oh, you're putting a lot of pressure on me now, because all your points make sense. And I was thinking at the time watching this going, I've really enjoyed this movie, but there were points where I felt like there was filler. And I'm feeling the peer pressure to give this a 5.
I would just like to remind us all, because we haven't mentioned them, is the 2 robots that very early on become, I guess good guys, mainly for comedic relief, not that the film needs any
more. All right, I'll give it a 5 then. Good
peer pressure. You don't have to give it a 5, Alex. You do what you want to do.
That's 15 out of 15.
Oh,
it's pretty good.
It is a good movie on Netflix. There you go. There's a little plug for Netflix.
Yeah, because like they need it from our podcast.
Hey, look,
have you heard of Netflix?
Well, guys, have you? This is so good. You can watch movies on Netflix for a subscription, and there's so much on there. It's great.
Hot damn.
Yeah.
Hot diggity dog.
Anyway.
Hot diggity Furby dog. Cross-eyed detective dog.
Yeah.
That too. Hey, look, we've been the Trailer Island podcast. You can find us on all the social thingamajiggies, on wherever you can find your podcasts, wherever you get them from. Name some, Steve.
Podcast.com, podcaster.org, podcast.com.ca, that's for Canadian listeners, podcast.com.au, that's for New Zealand listeners.
Is it though?
Spotify,
Apple,
Google. We're on Apple?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I thought we were.
Amazon, Deezer. We are everywhere.
And if you want, for the right amount of money, we could do a live show in your front room.
That too. That too. Would you like to see us live? I'm sure you will at some point. We're even thinking, do we get into video at some point? Do we do that?
Maybe.
I'm concerned. Should we give that a go? I don't know. Do people want to see our faces? Let us know on the Facebook page. You can also send us an email, contact@trailerisland.com. You visit via the website as well. You can send us messages there too.
I'm going to say, if we do film it, we might get the police calling, because I haven't been seen for quite some time.
It's true.
That's okay. I'm Alex, and I've been joined by...
Matthew.
Detective Steve.
Good night.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.